Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. What if everything you were taught about money was wrong? What if everything you were taught about money, success, and security was built on a lie? What if the very advice you've spent your life following, get good grades, find a stable job, save diligently, and avoid taking risks, is actually the blueprint for staying broke, frustrated, and stuck in a cycle of financial dependence? That's the provocative question that changed Robert Kiyosaki's life, and it might just change yours too. Robert grew up with two father figures, his biological father, whom he calls his poor dad, and the father of his best friend, whom he refers to as his rich dad. Both were intelligent, hard-working men. Both had strong opinions about life and money, but their philosophies couldn't have been more different. One taught him to value job security, avoid risk, and believe that academic success was the key to a good life. The other taught him to value financial education, take smart risks, and understand that working to learn is far more powerful than working for money. The lessons Robert absorbed from these two men shaped not only his financial destiny, but the way he viewed the world. And as you're about to discover, those same lessons have the power to transform yours too. You see, most of us were raised by a poor dad mindset, even if we didn't realize it. We were trained to fear failure, to seek comfort, and to live within the confines of someone else's financial system. We were conditioned to be employees, not owners. We were taught to earn money, but not how to make it work for us. That's why so many people, despite years of education and decades of hard work, find themselves living paycheck to paycheck. They're caught in what Kiyosaki calls the rat race, working harder just to stay afloat, with no real financial freedom in sight. Meanwhile, the rich dad mindset operates on a completely different level. It's about breaking free from that system, about understanding how money truly works, and about using that knowledge to build lasting wealth. So let me ask you, whose voice is guiding your financial decisions today? Is it the voice that tells you to play it safe, keep your head down, and hope that someday you'll be able to retire? Or is it the voice that challenges you to think differently, to act boldly, and to build something greater than just a career? This video is not just a summary of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It's an invitation to change the way you think, live, and build your future. It's a roadmap to financial empowerment, especially if you've ever felt stuck, confused, or overwhelmed by money. We're going to unpack the most powerful lessons from the book, lessons that schools never taught you, but that the wealthy have been using for generations to multiply their income, protect their wealth, and escape the daily grind. By the time we're done, you'll understand why the rich get richer, even in crises, while the poor and middle class struggle harder. You'll see why working longer hours isn't the solution, and why the key to financial independence lies in something most people completely ignore. You'll walk away with a mindset shift so profound that you'll start seeing opportunities where before you only saw limitations. So, buckle up. What you're about to learn may challenge your beliefs, but it might also set you free. By the end of this video, you'll never look at money, work, or education the same way again. Let's begin. The core concept: two dads, two mindsets. At the heart of Rich Dad, Poor Dad lies a simple but profound truth. The way we think about money shapes our lives far more than the amount of money we earn. Robert Kiyosaki learned this firsthand by growing up under the influence of two father figures who viewed the world through vastly different lenses. These two men, his real father and his best friend's father, became living symbols of two financial philosophies, two mindsets that lead down two very different roads in life. His biological father, the man he calls Poor Dad, was a highly educated man. He had a PhD, held a stable government job, and believed deeply in the power of formal education. To him, success meant climbing the ladder, getting promotions, and retiring with a pension. He was the embodiment of the traditional path. Go to school, get good grades, get a safe job, and work hard. He was smart, respectable, and well-intentioned. But despite his intelligence and position, he struggled with money his entire life. He believed in saving, living below your means, and staying loyal to your employer. And yet, he always seemed to be one emergency away from financial collapse. On the other hand, there was his best friend's father, the man he calls Rich Dad. This man had dropped out of school at an early age, but he possessed something far more powerful than academic credentials: financial intelligence. He owned businesses, invested in assets, and understood how money truly worked. He wasn't rich by accident. He was rich by design. He believed in learning from real-world experience, in developing skills that school never taught, and in using money as a tool to create freedom. While Poor Dad saw wealth as a luxury for the lucky or greedy, Rich Dad saw it as a responsibility, something to be learned, mastered, and shared. These two men gave Robert advice that was so contradictory, it was almost like growing up in two separate universes. Poor Dad told him, "Go to school and get a good job." Rich Dad said, "Learn how money works and let it work for you." Poor Dad said, "The love of money is the root of all evil." Rich Dad replied, "The lack of money is the root of all evil." Poor Dad believed in job security. Rich Dad believed in financial freedom. Poor Dad said, "Don't take risks, play it safe." Rich Dad said, "Take calculated risks and learn from failure." Poor Dad saw work as a way to earn money. Rich Dad saw work as a way to learn how to build wealth. These contrasts weren't just different opinions, they were different paradigms. Poor Dad lived in a world where credentials mattered more than cash flow. He believed the government should take care of its people, and that companies were responsible for their employees' well-being. Rich Dad, however, lived in a world where responsibility was personal. He didn't wait for someone else to provide opportunities. He created them. He didn't believe in blaming the system. He studied the system, learned its rules, and then mastered how to win within it. When it came to education, Poor Dad was the kind of man who would proudly hang his degrees on the wall. He believed that schooling was the most important investment a person could make. Rich Dad, on the other hand, respected learning but was quick to point out that school teaches people how to be employees, not how to be free. He valued financial education over academic achievement. He believed in learning how to read financial statements, how to understand markets, and how to spot opportunities others missed. Their attitudes toward money were just as different. To Poor Dad, talking about money was uncomfortable. It felt dirty, almost shameful. He believed in hard work, but he also believed that wanting more money was somehow morally wrong. Rich Dad had no such hang-ups. He saw money as a tool, neither good nor evil, but powerful, depending on how it was used. He encouraged Robert to study money, talk about money, and take control of it. "Money without financial intelligence," he said, "is money soon gone." Their views on risk created another sharp divide. Poor Dad believed that risk was something to avoid at all costs. He saw it as dangerous, unpredictable, and likely to end in loss. He taught Robert to aim for stability, to save, and to avoid financial ventures that seemed uncertain. Rich Dad, however, believed that risk could be managed through education. He didn't fear it. He respected it. To him, risk was where the growth was. He encouraged Robert to take smart risks, to fail fast and learn faster, and to develop the emotional strength to face setbacks without quitting. And then there was work. For Poor Dad, work was the goal. You worked to get paid. The paycheck was the reward. The job title, the pension, the years of loyalty. These were the marks of success. Rich Dad saw work completely differently. To him, work was a training ground. You worked to learn, not to earn. You worked to build skills, relationships, and knowledge. He believed in working hard, but only temporarily. The real goal was to build something that could make money, whether you were working or not. Don't work for money, he told Robert. Make money work for you. These two worldviews shaped Robert in ways he would only come to fully understand as an adult. One mindset led to lifelong dependency, financial fear, and limited freedom. The other led to independence, confidence, and the ability to create wealth from nothing. And as you reflect on your own beliefs about money, you may start to recognize traces of both dads in your thinking too. That's the real genius of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It doesn't just tell you how to get rich. It helps you see the invisible mindset that's either holding you back or propelling you forward. It challenges the assumptions you've lived with for years, sometimes without even knowing it. It asks you to choose. Will you follow the path of Poor Dad, doing what's familiar, what's safe, and what everyone else is doing? Or will you take the harder road, the smarter road, the richer road? This isn't about judging either dad. It's about recognizing that beliefs shape behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. What you believe about money determines how you handle it, and how you handle money determines the quality of your life. So again, let me ask, which dad are you listening to? And more importantly, what is that mindset costing you? The good news is, you get to choose. Right here. Right now. Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money. If you've ever dragged yourself out of bed on a Monday morning, wishing you didn't have to go to work, but knowing you had no choice because bills are waiting, you already understand the prison Robert Kiyosaki calls the rat race. It's a cycle most people live in their entire lives. You work to earn money. You use that money to pay bills. You repeat the process. If you're lucky, maybe you save a little. But most of the time, the cycle just keeps going, and the freedom you hoped your job would give you never comes. This is exactly what Kiyosaki calls the biggest trap of the poor dad mindset. Working for money instead of making money work for you. In Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Kiyosaki flips the traditional belief about work on its head. He explains that the rich don't work for money, not in the way most people think. Instead of chasing paychecks, the rich chase knowledge, opportunity, and value. They focus on building systems and assets that generate income whether they're working or not. In contrast, the poor and middle class stay stuck working for every dollar they earn, often with nothing left over to invest or grow. This lesson hit Robert hard when he was just 9 years old. After being told by his poor dad to focus on school and get good grades, Robert turned to his rich dad for advice about how to become rich. Rich Dad agreed to teach him, but on one condition. Robert would work for him for free. No paycheck, no hourly wage, just the opportunity to learn. At first, Robert hated it. He felt exploited. He wanted to quit. But Rich Dad used that frustration to teach him a powerful lesson. If you work for money, he told the boy, you give the power to your employer. If you learn to create value, you take that power back. What Robert came to understand was that working for free opened his eyes to how the system really works. It forced him to observe, to ask questions, to look beyond the surface and see how money flowed through businesses. He learned how people's emotions, especially fear and greed, kept them enslaved to jobs they didn't love. And he saw how people who lacked financial education were easily manipulated and kept dependent. Let's pause and look around us. This dynamic plays out everywhere. Think about the people you know who earn well but are always broke. They might have a good job, even a high salary, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck. Why? Because as their income increases, so do their expenses. Their lifestyle inflates, their debt piles up, and they never escape the rat race. They're working for money, but money isn't working for them. Now think about those few people you know who seem to live differently. Maybe they don't have flashy jobs or huge salaries, but they have time freedom. They invest. They own real estate. They run businesses. They talk about cash flow and tax strategies instead of just paychecks and promotions. They understand that the key is not how much you earn, it's how much you keep, how much you grow, and how much you can leverage. That's what financial education is all about. It's not just learning how to make more money, it's learning how to make smarter decisions with money. It's understanding how taxes eat into your earnings if you don't plan for them. It's realizing how inflation silently erodes your savings. It's recognizing that working harder isn't always the answer. Sometimes it's about working smarter, by building or acquiring assets that generate passive income. Rich Dad taught Robert to stop asking, "How can I get a raise?" and start asking, "What can I build or learn that will increase my value?" That shift in mindset is everything. It's the difference between being controlled by money and taking control of your financial life. Kiyosaki also points out that schools don't teach this. They teach you how to memorize facts, pass tests, and fit into systems, but they rarely teach you how to think critically about money. They prepare you to be an employee, not an owner, a wage earner, not a value creator. That's why so many graduates, despite years of formal education, still struggle financially. They were trained to work for money, not to master it. Let's take two hypothetical examples to drive this home. First, meet James. James followed all the rules. He got good grades, went to university, and landed a secure job as an accountant. He earns a decent salary, but his expenses match his income. He's constantly stressed about bills, has no investments, and is hoping that someday his pension will support him. Now, meet Lisa. Lisa didn't finish college, but she developed a deep interest in personal finance. She read books, listened to mentors, and took calculated risks. She bought her first rental property at 27. Today, she owns 5. She runs an online business that generates income even while she sleeps. She's not rich in the traditional flashy sense, but she's free. She works because she wants to, not because she has to. That's the power of the rich dad mindset. It doesn't promise overnight riches. It doesn't even guarantee success. What it offers is a way out, a way to stop being a cog in someone else's machine and start becoming the architect of your own financial future. But here's the truth that makes most people uncomfortable. It requires discipline, humility, and a willingness to unlearn. Most people won't do it. They'd rather stay in the comfort of a paycheck, even if it means giving up freedom. They'd rather avoid risk than learn how to manage it. They'd rather be told what to do than take full responsibility for their financial lives. Yet those who choose the path of Rich Dad gain something priceless: the ability to live on their own terms. So let me ask you, are you working for money? Or is money starting to work for you? Are you stuck in the rat race, hoping your next promotion will finally bring peace? Or are you focused on building assets that will bring you freedom? Are you chasing short-term income? Or are you creating long-term value? The poor chase money. The rich chase growth, learning, and value. That's not just a cute quote. It's a mindset that determines your future. And here's the good news. You can choose to switch paths at any moment. You can stop working just for money and start building a life where money works for you. That choice starts with awareness, with education, and with the courage to think differently. Because once you truly grasp this lesson, once it sinks in that your job is not your source, but just a tool, you'll never be financially powerless again. And that's just the beginning. Lesson 2. Why teach financial literacy? Imagine this. You've studied hard, aced your exams, landed a respectable job, and now earn a good salary. You have a beautiful home, a nice car, and maybe even a vacation once a year. But every month, your income disappears as fast as it comes in. eaten up by mortgage payments, loan installments, bills, and day-to-day expenses. Despite your degrees, despite your success, you feel like you're drowning. You wonder, why am I still struggling financially? Robert Kiyosaki would say, it's because you were never taught financial literacy. In Rich Dad, Poor Dad, this is one of the most crucial, eye-opening lessons. Financial literacy, not academic success, is what separates the wealthy from the rest. It's the ability to understand how money really works, not how to earn it, but how to grow it, keep it, and make it work for you. Kiyosaki explains this with a concept so simple yet so misunderstood, it's almost shocking. Assets versus liabilities. Let's define them plainly. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pocket. That's it. That's the heart of financial literacy. And once you see the world through this lens, everything changes. But here's the tragedy. Most people confuse liabilities for assets. They say, my house is my biggest asset. But is it? Let's look at what happens financially. You buy a house. Every month, you pay a mortgage, maintenance fees, property taxes, insurance, and interest. Does any of that put money into your pocket? Number. It takes it out. Until and unless the house produces income, for example, as a rental property, it's not an asset, it's a liability. Same goes for that shiny new car. It might feel good, it might look good, but financially, it's bleeding your wallet dry through loan payments, insurance, gas, depreciation. That's not an asset. That's a dressed-up liability. Now let's flip the script. The rich don't buy big homes first. They buy assets, things that generate cash flow and increase in value over time. That could be rental real estate, stocks and dividends, bonds, intellectual property, businesses and systems that generate income. Here's how they think. Let the asset buy the liability. Let's say a wealthy person wants a new car. Instead of using their paycheck to buy it, they buy a small apartment, rent it out, and let the rental income cover the car payment. That way, the car doesn't drain their income. Their asset pays for it. The average person uses earned income to fund liabilities. The rich use passive income to fund lifestyle. And this leads to one of the most powerful diagrams in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The cash flow patterns of the poor, middle class, and rich. Let's break it down visually. Period. 1. The poor. Income to expenses. They earn just enough to cover rent, food, transport, and utilities. There are no assets, no savings, no investments. Every dollar in goes right back out. No money is working for them. 2. The middle class. Income to liabilities to expenses. They earn more than the poor. But as income rises, so do liabilities. They buy a bigger house, a nicer car, maybe take on credit card debt. On paper, they look successful. But in reality, they're still trapped. Their income feeds liabilities, and their expenses stay high. Again, no real assets, just appearances. 3. The rich. Income to assets, to more income to liabilities. Optional. They use their income to buy or build assets. Those assets produce cash flow, money that comes in whether they're working or not. Only after building a solid asset base do they take on luxury liabilities, and when they do, they let the assets pay for them. This difference in thinking creates an entirely different life. Where most people focus on job security, the rich focus on financial freedom. Where most chase pay raises, the rich chase assets that grow. Where most struggle with expenses, the rich control how money flows through their lives. Robert Kiyosaki makes it painfully clear. This mindset isn't about greed or being obsessed with money. It's about control. It's about freedom. It's about power over your future. Here's a metaphor that might make it clearer. Think of your wallet like a garden. Every time you buy an asset, you're planting a seed that will one day grow fruit. Every time you buy a liability, you're planting a weed that will suck the nutrients away. If your wallet is full of weeds, car payments, credit card interest, loans, things that look good but bleed you dry, your garden will never flourish. But if you plant seeds, investments, assets, businesses, intellectual property, you'll create a garden that feeds you forever. This is why financial literacy is more powerful than academic degrees. Schools teach you how to work for money. Financial education teaches you how to make money work for you. And the crazy part? It's not about earning more. You can have a high-paying job and still be broke because you don't understand assets and liabilities. And you can have a modest income but still grow wealthy because you direct every extra dollar into building assets. Kiyosaki urges us to shift the conversation. Stop asking, "How much do you earn?" Start asking, "How much do you own that earns for you?" That's the true test of financial strength. And here's something else. Assets don't just grow wealth, they buy time. Think about it. If you have a job, your time is tied to your paycheck. Stop working, and the income stops. But if you have assets, they keep generating money even when you sleep, travel, or rest. They give you back your time. And time is the ultimate luxury. The wealthy don't want millions in the bank just to brag. They want the freedom to live life on their terms, to retire early, to spend time with family, to pursue passions, to make impact. That's what real wealth means. So here's the big takeaway from this lesson. Build your asset column. Relentlessly. Intentionally. Strategically. It doesn't matter how small you start. Start anyway. Your first asset might be a few shares of stock, a side hustle, a digital product, a used car you rent out, a savings plan, a book you write that earns royalties. Whatever it is, plant that seed. Then water it, watch it grow, and keep planting more. Because one day, those seeds become a forest, and that forest will take care of you for the rest of your life. Degrees might open doors, but financial literacy builds doors, owns the building, and collects the rent. Now ask yourself, is your money planting seeds or weeds? Your answer might just change your future. Lesson 3. Mind your own business. Picture this. You meet someone at a party and ask them, "What do you do?" They respond proudly, "I'm a doctor," or "I'm an engineer," or "I work in finance." Sounds impressive, right? But here's the truth that Robert Kiyosaki drives home in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Your profession is not your business. Let that sink in. Just because you have a job, even a high-paying one, doesn't mean you're building wealth. You're building someone else's business. You're helping someone else grow their asset column. Meanwhile, you're stuck in the cycle of working for a paycheck, paying bills, and hoping nothing goes wrong next month. This is where Lesson 3 hits like a wake-up call. Mind your own business. This doesn't mean quit your job. It doesn't mean start a company tomorrow. What it means is start focusing on building assets that belong to you. Assets that generate income whether you're working or not. Most people confuse their job with their business. But here's the distinction Kiyosaki makes clear. Your job is what you do to pay bills. Your business is what you build to create wealth. And the smart thing to do? Keep your job, but start minding your own business on the side. Let's get practical. What does your own business look like? It's your asset column. Anything that consistently puts money into your pocket, without you having to trade your time for it. These can include dividend-paying stocks, rental real estate, royalties from books, music, or digital products, online businesses or e-commerce stores, intellectual property, vending machines, ATMs, or other passive systems, small businesses with systems and teams in place. These are assets, and your real business, the one that matters, is to build, track, and grow this asset column until it replaces your paycheck. The problem? Most people don't do this because they're trained, from school to society, to think like employees, not like owners. They focus on climbing the corporate ladder instead of building a ladder of assets. They track promotions, not passive income. They obsess over salaries, not streams of income. But here's the truth. Job security is an illusion. The economy shifts. Companies downsize. AI, automation, and global competition can replace your job tomorrow. And when that happens, people who've only minded their job, not their business, get wiped out. Robert Kiyosaki challenges us to start thinking like business owners, not just emotionally, but practically. Track your finances like a CEO. Know your monthly income and expenses. List your assets and liabilities. Track how much of your income is passive versus earned. Measure how much money your money is making. Treat your personal finances like a business, because that's what they are. You incorporated, and if you want that business to grow, you need to treat it seriously. Let's use a metaphor. Imagine you're a farmer. Your salary is like a fruit you pick every day. You eat it, and it's gone. But your assets? They're your trees. You plant them once, and they bear fruit season after season. Now, most people spend all their time harvesting fruit. They never plant trees. And when the fruit runs out, due to layoffs, illness, retirement, they starve. But if you mind your own business, if you plant and nurture your trees, eventually your orchard grows large enough to feed you and your family forever. Kiyosaki also points out something powerful. Starting small is okay. You don't need $1 million to build assets. You don't need to be a genius investor. What you need is discipline, focus, and the mindset to start now. Maybe you begin by investing $50 a month in an index fund, saving up for your first rental unit, starting a small blog or YouTube channel with monetization potential, writing a short ebook, launching a weekend side hustle. Whatever it is, start it, build it, learn from it, improve it. Because wealth isn't built in sudden windfalls. It's built brick by brick, with consistent effort and smart decisions over time. One of the most dangerous traps in life is thinking, I'll start someday. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait until you're ready. Don't wait until you've saved more or earned more or learned more. Start today, even if it's small. Track your spending. Learn what an asset really is. Open that investment account. Launch that side gig. Read a book. Watch a financial course. Just take a step. Because every step you take toward minding your own business brings you one step closer to financial freedom. The ability to live life on your own terms, without fear, without limits, without being owned by a job. In the words of Kiyosaki, the rich focus on their asset columns while everyone else focuses on their income statements. So now, let me ask you, are you just working your job, or are you minding your business? The path to wealth is not paved with promotions. It's built with ownership. Your future depends on the seeds you plant today. So stop working just to make a living. Start building a life. Lesson 4. The history of taxes and the power of corporations. What if the reason you're struggling financially isn't because you don't work hard enough, but because you're unknowingly playing the wrong game? Imagine dedicating your life to a system that was never designed to help you win. You go to school, get good grades, secure a job, work tirelessly, pay your taxes, and yet you barely stay ahead. Meanwhile, the rich seem to build wealth with ease, growing their assets, avoiding massive taxes, and living a life of financial freedom. Is it luck? Privilege? Not entirely. The real difference lies in how they understand and use the system. The truth is, the rich don't just earn more. They understand how money flows, how taxes work, and how to build structures around their wealth. One of the most powerful tools they use is something most people never consider: the corporation. To understand how the rich use corporations to their advantage, we need to start with a bit of history. For most of human civilization, income taxes didn't exist. Governments generated revenue through trade, tariffs, and land taxes. But in the early 20th century, things changed. Income tax was introduced, and it was sold to the public as a tax on the wealthy. It sounded fair. Tax the rich, help the country. But what started as a tax on the upper class slowly trickled down to everyone else. Today, the middle class shoulders the majority of the tax burden, while the wealthy, those who understand the rules, legally reduce or avoid paying as much. Here's how the game is different. If you're an employee, your financial flow looks like this. You earn money, you get taxed, and then you spend what's left. In other words, taxes come out of your pocket before you even see your paycheck. But for business owners and investors, the flow is reversed. They earn money through their corporation or business, spend money on business-related expenses, rent, travel, education, marketing, equipment, and only then do they pay taxes on what's left. In essence, they are taxed on their profits, not their gross income. This isn't shady or dishonest. It's legal, it's smart, and it's something anyone can learn. Robert Kiyosaki's rich dad taught him this early on. The poor and middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them. And part of making money work for you is learning how to keep it. One of the best ways to keep more of what you earn is by understanding how corporations work. A corporation is not just a business. It's a legal entity, separate from you, with its own rights and protections. It can earn money, own assets, take on debt, pay expenses, and be taxed, often at lower rates than individuals. Corporations provide both legal protection and tax advantages. That's why the rich use them extensively. Let's break it down with an example. John is an employee who earns $100,000 a year. After taxes, he might take home $60,000 or less. Everything he buys, his car, his meals, his education, is paid with post-tax dollars. Sarah, on the other hand, earns $100,000 through her business. She uses part of that income to pay for business expenses, travel, a home office, a vehicle, professional development, and more. These expenses reduce her taxable income, so she might only be taxed on $30,000 or $40,000 at a lower corporate tax rate. Sarah keeps more of her money. She reinvests it. She builds wealth. Kiyosaki stresses that you don't need to become a millionaire to start thinking like one. You can begin with something small, a side hustle, a consulting gig, a freelancing service, a small shop. As long as it earns income and serves a legitimate business purpose, it can be structured to benefit you. And once you have a legal business, many of your expenses, your phone bill, internet, part of your rent, your transportation, may be deductible. The key is to shift your mindset from "how do I make more money" to "how do I keep more of what I make and grow it?" But most people never learn this. Why? Because the traditional education system doesn't teach it. Our schools prepare us to be employees, not owners. We're taught how to follow instructions, pass exams, and get jobs, but not how to manage money, reduce taxes, or build wealth. Kiyosaki's poor dad followed this system. He was highly educated, but financially limited. His rich dad, by contrast, understood the rules of the game. He knew how to use corporations, how to structure his finances, and how to make money work for him. This lesson is a wake-up call. If you've been living paycheck to paycheck, it's not because you're lazy or incapable. It's because you're following a script designed to keep you in the rat race. But the script can be changed. The rules can be learned. You don't have to become a tax expert or an accountant. You just need to start asking better questions. How can I shift from employee to owner? What small business can I start? How can I structure my income more intelligently? Where can I learn more about legal tax strategies? The rich don't evade taxes. They avoid them legally by understanding how the system works. And if you're willing to learn, so can you. It starts with curiosity, then knowledge, then action. The difference between financial struggle and financial freedom isn't intelligence, it's information. And now you have some of it. The question is, what will you do with it? The moment you begin thinking like an owner, your perspective changes. You begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You stop being afraid of taxes, inflation, and job loss, and instead start building something resilient. So start small, start smart, but start now. Because once you understand how the rich play the game, you'll never want to go back to the old rules again. Lesson 5. The rich invent money. We live in a world overflowing with opportunities, yet many still live in fear, bound by the chains of scarcity. How many times have you heard someone say, "I can't afford that"? Maybe you've said it yourself. It's a phrase that seems harmless, responsible even, but according to Robert Kiyosaki, it's one of the most dangerous sentences we can say. Why? Because it shuts down the brain. It ends the conversation. It kills creativity. The moment you say, "I can't afford it," your mind stops working. But the rich, Kiyosaki explains, don't think that way. Instead of making statements that limit them, they ask questions that expand them. How can I afford it? This one shift, from a statement to a question, can change your entire financial life. It takes you from victim to creator, from reactive to proactive, from scarcity to abundance. The rich invent money, Kiyosaki says, not because they're born with it, but because they develop the mindset and skills to create it when it doesn't exist. Most people are trained to follow systems, not to build them. We're raised to work within structures, apply for a job, follow the job description, earn a fixed salary. But wealth doesn't come from staying inside the box. It comes from stepping outside of it. The rich see opportunities where others see obstacles. They create value where others see limitations. They don't wait for permission. They invent solutions. This ability to invent money doesn't require millions in the bank. It requires something much more powerful: financial intelligence, knowledge, creativity, timing, and the courage to act even when you're uncertain. That's what separates the wealthy from the rest. Consider this example. Two people lose their jobs unexpectedly. One panics, withdraws, blames the economy, and cuts back on every expense. The other sees it as a wake-up call. They start freelancing online, selling a skill they never thought was valuable: graphic design, tutoring, bookkeeping. Within months, they have a steady stream of clients. They didn't just survive, they reinvented themselves. That's financial creativity in action. Kiyosaki tells a story from his youth, when he and his friend Mike wanted to make money. Instead of getting a job at a local store like most kids, they decided to melt down toothpaste tubes made of lead to create counterfeit nickels. Of course, the idea was illegal and didn't last long, but it planted a seed. The seed was this: money isn't just something you earn. It's something you can generate through ideas. It was the mindset that mattered. Later, Kiyosaki learned from his rich dad that opportunity is everywhere, but most people can't see it because they're blinded by fear. They want safety, certainty, guarantees. But the rich understand that life never offers full security. Instead of avoiding risk, they learn to manage it. They invest in their knowledge, develop courage, and act decisively. This is the essence of inventing money: not waiting for the perfect moment, but creating the moment. Think about some of the most successful entrepreneurs in history: Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk. None of them followed traditional paths. They didn't inherit wealth. They created it, not just with money, but with vision. with questions, with resilience. They saw what others couldn't see. They built what others were afraid to build. You don't need to launch the next Apple to invent money. Start small. Maybe it's flipping used furniture, starting a YouTube channel, tutoring students online, or investing in dividend-paying stocks. The how doesn't matter as much as the thinking. When you begin asking, how can I create value, instead of where can I get paid more, your brain begins working differently. You shift from dependence to independence. Here's the truth. Most people are not broke because they lack money. They're broke because they lack imagination. They're stuck in financial quicksand, not because they're lazy, but because they haven't learned how to see. And most importantly, they haven't learned to overcome the emotional enemies of success, fear and doubt. Fear whispers, you'll fail. Doubt says, you're not smart enough. The world encourages conformity, but financial freedom demands boldness. That doesn't mean reckless risks. It means calculated courage. It means building the muscle to act, even when you're scared. To take that course, make that pitch, launch that product. Kiyosaki calls this emotional intelligence, the ability to control your emotions instead of being controlled by them. He emphasizes the importance of learning through action. You can read books, attend seminars, and follow mentors, but nothing teaches like doing. Start a side business, invest in something small, build a product, make mistakes, fail forward. That's how you grow. That's how you build the skill of creating money. Another key to inventing money is learning how to identify and capitalize on trends. Kiyosaki talks about the importance of timing. In every economic shift, new doors open. During downturns, assets are cheap. During booms, ideas flourish. The rich don't complain about changes in the economy. They anticipate and leverage them. Whether it's real estate, technology, or a new market trend, they learn how to spot patterns and make bold moves. And here's the beautiful thing. This power is available to anyone willing to learn. You don't need to have a business degree or come from a wealthy family. You just need to develop the habit of asking empowering questions, embracing discomfort, and taking smart action. When you stop waiting for the perfect opportunity and start creating your own, you step into the mindset of the rich. So, what's holding you back? Is it fear of failure? Fear of what others will think? Doubt about your ability? Recognize it. Name it. But don't let it define you. The path to wealth begins the moment you realize that money isn't something to chase. It's something you can create. In a world where the rules are changing faster than ever, the ability to invent money isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Jobs come and go. Markets rise and fall. But if you can think creatively, act courageously, and learn constantly, you become unstoppable. Remember, the rich don't wait for luck. They create it. They don't fear problems. They solve them. They don't say, I can't afford it. They ask, how can I make it happen? That's the mindset of a wealth creator, and it can be yours, starting today. Lesson 6. Work to learn. Don't work for money. Most people enter the workforce with one goal in mind: to earn a paycheck. They focus on climbing the ladder, getting promotions, and securing a steady income. But Robert Kiyosaki's rich dad offered a different perspective, one that challenges this traditional mindset and encourages a shift from working for money to working to learn. This lesson is crucial because it redefines what it means to succeed financially. Instead of chasing salaries, the rich chase skills. Every job you take, no matter how modest or unrelated to your dream career, is a golden opportunity to build valuable skills. Skills that will pay off far beyond any single paycheck. Kiyosaki highlights 4 key abilities the rich actively develop: selling, communication, marketing, and leadership. These aren't just buzzwords. They are the foundation of financial independence and wealth creation. Selling is not just about convincing someone to buy a product. It's about persuading people, whether a customer, employer, or partner, about your ideas and value. Mastering sales means mastering influence and negotiation, skills critical to growing any business or career. Communication goes hand in hand with selling. The ability to clearly express your thoughts, listen actively, and understand others' needs can open doors and create opportunities where none seem to exist. Good communicators can navigate difficult conversations, build networks, and inspire teams. Marketing teaches you to identify problems and present solutions. It's about understanding what people want and positioning yourself or your product in a way that resonates. Learning marketing sharpens your ability to spot opportunities and appeal to the right audience. Leadership, perhaps the most powerful skill of all, is about guiding others toward a shared vision. Leaders inspire trust, motivate action, and create environments where innovation thrives. Even if you don't lead a company, developing leadership skills will help you take charge of your financial future. The rich dad's advice was clear. Don't prioritize how much you earn in a job. Prioritize what you learn in it. This mindset changes everything. Instead of waiting for the perfect job or the highest salary, you seek roles that stretch you, expose you to new experiences, and build skills that multiply your earning potential over time. This idea confronts a common trap: the mistaken belief that a higher salary alone guarantees financial success. Many people work hard, earn more money, but remain financially stuck because they lack the skills to invest, build assets, or create additional income streams. Kiyosaki uses the metaphor of jack of all trades versus master of survival. The jack of all trades knows a little bit about many things, but may not know how to use those skills strategically. The master of survival is someone who prioritizes learning the most valuable skills that ensure long-term financial independence, skills that allow them to adapt, innovate, and thrive in any economic environment. Consider this: if you only focus on your paycheck, you depend entirely on your job for income. But if you focus on learning, you develop tools that help you earn in multiple ways. You become less vulnerable to job loss, economic shifts, or technological changes. Ask yourself, what skills am I learning at my current job? Are they making me richer, smarter, or more capable? If your answer is no, it might be time to rethink your approach to work. Seek opportunities to learn sales techniques, improve your communication, understand marketing principles, or take on leadership roles, even informal ones. This lesson is not just about financial growth, it's about personal empowerment. When you commit to learning over earning, you take control of your future. You transform your job from a mere source of income into a launchpad for your financial freedom. In today's rapidly changing world, the ability to adapt and learn new skills is more important than ever. The jobs of tomorrow may not even exist yet, so cultivating a habit of continuous learning is your best defense against uncertainty. To sum it up, don't work for money, work to learn. Because when you build the right skills, money will follow, and so will true financial independence. Overcoming obstacles to wealth: fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, arrogance. One of the biggest reasons people never achieve financial freedom isn't a lack of opportunity or resources. It's the invisible barriers inside their own minds and habits. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad exposes the hidden enemies that silently block many from building real wealth. These internal obstacles, fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance, are often more powerful than external challenges. The truth is simple but brutal. You're not broke, you're blocked. Until you identify and remove these blocks, financial success will remain out of reach. First, there is fear: fear of losing money, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. This fear paralyzes people, freezing them in place. They are afraid to take risks, afraid to invest, afraid to try something new. Yet, fear is the greatest enemy of wealth. The rich don't avoid risk, they manage it. They understand that every successful investment involves some risk, but they learn how to calculate and minimize that risk rather than letting fear stop them. If you never step out of your comfort zone, you'll never grow. Ask yourself, what fears are holding you back from taking the first step toward financial independence? Next is cynicism, the toxic mindset of, it can't be done, or that's just a scam. This attitude often comes from listening to people who have never tried, who have never taken a risk, yet claim to know why others should fail. Cynics crush dreams with their negativity, convincing people to settle for less before they even begin. But the truth is that wealth building requires courage to ignore the naysayers and follow your own path. The rich know that obstacles and skepticism are part of the journey, but they don't let it stop them. Then there's laziness, which often hides behind busyness. Many people say they don't have time to learn about money, invest, or start a side hustle. They fill their days with tasks that don't matter, staying busy but avoiding the hard work of financial education and planning. This kind of laziness is deadly. Wealth doesn't come from wishful thinking or passive waiting. It comes from deliberate effort and continuous learning. Are you truly working toward your financial goals, or just distracting yourself from them? Bad habits are another major barrier. Most people prioritize paying bills, debts, and expenses first, and saving money last, or not at all. This pay-yourself-last mentality keeps people trapped in a cycle of scarcity. The rich flip this habit on its head. They pay themselves first by investing in assets that generate income, building wealth before covering wants or unnecessary expenses. Small habits, repeated consistently, create massive results over time. Which habits in your financial life are helping you, and which are holding you back? Finally, arrogance, the belief that you already know enough, is a silent killer of progress. Many people think they have the full picture of money and investing, so they stop learning. But financial literacy is a lifelong journey. The market changes, new opportunities emerge, and the smartest investors are those who remain students of money forever. Humility opens the door to growth. Arrogance slams it shut. Facing these obstacles head-on requires brutal honesty and a willingness to change. You must look in the mirror and admit where you've been blocked. But this honesty should empower, not discourage you. Removing these internal blocks is the key to unlocking your financial future. Fear will lose its grip when you educate yourself and take small, calculated risks. Cynicism will fade when you surround yourself with positive influences and success stories. Laziness will be defeated by creating daily habits that move you closer to your goals. Bad habits can be replaced with smart money practices. Arrogance will give way to humility when you commit to lifelong learning. Remember, you are not destined to be stuck. The only thing stopping you from wealth is these mental and behavioral blocks, and they can be removed. Start today by identifying which blocks are strongest in your life. Write them down, then create a plan to dismantle each one step by step. The journey to financial freedom is as much about mastering yourself as it is about mastering money. Remove your blocks and watch how your financial world transforms. The power to change is in your hands. Don't let fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, or arrogance stand in your way any longer. Your path to wealth starts with breaking free from the blocks inside you. Taking action is the bridge between knowing and becoming wealthy. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad. Poor Dad gives us powerful principles, but knowledge alone doesn't build financial freedom. You must take deliberate, practical steps to apply these lessons in your own life. The good news? You don't need a fortune or special connections to start. What you need is commitment, clarity, and courage. The first step toward financial literacy is education. Begin reading books about money, investing, and entrepreneurship. Kiyosaki's book is a great start, but don't stop there. The more you learn, the sharper your financial instincts become. Knowledge expands your options and reduces fear. Commit to reading regularly. Make it a habit, not a chore. Even 15 minutes a day can transform your mindset over time. Next, start a side hustle. Don't wait for the perfect business idea or a large sum of money. Side hustles come in many forms: selling a product, freelancing your skills, tutoring, or even online ventures. The goal is to develop an entrepreneurial mindset, build income streams beyond your day job, and gain experience managing money and customers. Side hustles are practical classrooms where lessons about risk, reward, and responsibility come alive. Once you start generating income, your next step is to buy your first asset. Remember Kiyosaki's golden rule: assets put money in your pocket, liabilities take money out. Your first asset could be stocks, rental property, or even a small business. The key is that it generates positive cash flow. This is the foundation of wealth building. Your money working for you, not the other way around. Tracking your expenses is equally crucial. Most people lose money because they don't know where it goes. Use apps, spreadsheets, or even a simple notebook to record every expense. This habit reveals leaks in your financial bucket and shows opportunities to save or invest more. Creating and reviewing your own financial statement, listing your assets and liabilities, makes your financial reality visible. It's the roadmap to financial freedom. Building your financial statement might sound intimidating, but it's simple in concept. Assets include anything that earns income or appreciates over time: investments, properties, businesses. Liabilities are debts and expenses that drain your resources: credit card debt, loans, luxury items bought on credit. The goal is to increase your assets and reduce liabilities. Each month, track how your assets grow and liabilities shrink. This discipline rewires your financial habits and mindset. Remember, you don't have to start big. The richest people often began with the smallest investments and the simplest ideas. The most important action is to start now. Procrastination is the enemy of wealth. Every day you delay, you lose time, which is one of your greatest assets. Imagine your future self, free from financial worry, living life on your own terms. This future is built on the choices you make today. You have the power to change your trajectory by applying these principles with consistency and passion. So, take that first step. Pick up a financial book, open a savings account, start budgeting, or launch a side hustle. Then take the next step, and the next. Momentum will build, and with it, your confidence and wealth. You don't have to be rich to start, but you must start to get rich. The time is now. Your financial freedom awaits. Don't just watch others build wealth. Become the architect of your own financial destiny. The principles are clear, the path is laid out, and the power to act is in your hands. Make your move today. Let's take a moment to recap the powerful lessons from Rich Dad, Poor Dad and how they can transform your life. At its core, this book contrasts two very different mindsets through the stories of Robert Kiyosaki's two dads. The poor dad, who represents conventional thinking about money, and the rich dad, who embodies financial intelligence and freedom. First, we learned that the rich don't work for money. While most chase paychecks and stay trapped in the rat race, the wealthy focus on creating value and opportunities that make money work for them. It's about shifting from earning income to building assets that generate ongoing cash flow. Next, the importance of financial literacy was revealed. Understanding the difference between assets and liabilities is a game changer. Too many confuse liabilities, things that drain money, with assets, things that put money in their pocket. The path to wealth is to build your asset column consistently and let those assets grow and support you. We also discovered the need to mind your own business. This means not confusing your job with your wealth-building plan. You can keep your day job, but simultaneously build your financial future by acquiring income-generating assets and managing your money like a business owner. The book uncovered the hidden power of corporations and taxes, showing how the rich use the system legally to protect and grow their wealth. Understanding the history of taxes and the power of corporations gives you the tools to minimize tax burdens and keep more of what you earn. One of the most inspiring lessons was that the rich invent money. Rather than saying, "I can't afford it," wealthy people ask, "How can I afford it?" They use creativity, knowledge, and timing to spot opportunities others miss, turning obstacles into new streams of income. We also learned to work to learn, not just to earn. Every job is a chance to acquire valuable skills, selling, marketing, communication, leadership, that will serve you in building wealth. It's about becoming a lifelong learner, gaining skills that multiply your value in any economic climate. Lastly, Rich Dad, Poor Dad challenges us to confront and overcome internal blocks: fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance. These invisible barriers keep many stuck in financial mediocrity. The truth is, you are not broke, you are blocked. Remove those blocks, and the path to wealth becomes clear. So, now that you understand these lessons, here's the question. Which dad will you listen to? The poor dad who says, "Go to school, get a safe job, and work hard for money." Or the rich dad who teaches, "Learn how money works, invest, and make your money work for you"? Your answer will determine your financial destiny. As Robert Kiyosaki wisely says, "It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep." Building wealth isn't about earning more, it's about mastering the game of money, managing what you have, and growing your assets over time. Now, it's time for you to take action. If this summary has sparked a new mindset or inspired you to rethink your relationship with money, subscribe to this channel for more life-changing book summaries and financial wisdom. Drop a comment below saying, "I choose the Rich Dad mindset," and share this video with someone you care about who needs to break free from the rat race. Remember, financial freedom is not a distant dream. It's a decision. The knowledge is in your hands. The choice is yours. Which dad will guide your journey forward? Choose wisely, act boldly, and start building your future today.